Well, back to cleaning parts again. This is the bracket for the evap canister for the fuel tank. Most people probably wouldn't even bother putting it back in, but it's not a big deal. The canister doesn't weigh much. It's almost done. And I guess will make some people happy. The thing about cleaning parts is it does let you contemplate the universe as you do it. I have to rebuild the front suspension on my son's Dodge 4x4. I've never done a front suspension on one before, but tried to put up on jack stands and put on gravel, and I need to run over to the hardware store and buy a 2x8 and cut it up and put it underneath the jack stands to stabilize the jack stand so I don't have a 6,000 pound truck falling on me. And the closest hardware store to me is like 20 miles away. And my Dodge Ram gets 14 miles to the gallon. So what is that? It's going to take about 3 gallons to get over there. It's $5.29 a gallon. So it's going to cost me about $17 or so to get over there to buy a 2x8. That's going to cost me $28, 20 bucks. And you wonder about where's the logic in that to raise the gas prices so it costs me 20 bucks to buy a 2x8. I don't understand it. Apparently we're fixing the world this way. My neighbor lives over there. He drives an old mid-80s Chevy pickup truck. He probably gets the same 14 miles a gallon as my truck does. He works in Wenatchee. It's about 60 miles from here. And he has to drive back and forth every day to do his job. I'm lucky. I can work out of my house. So I don't have to drive anywhere. First couple of weeks, I'm sure running a quarter tank of gas out of his truck to go to work probably didn't bother him too much. It's now a month. Gas prices seem to stabilize around $5.29 around here. And it's got to start hurting after a while. And you wonder where the logic is to raise the gas prices up to the point where people can't afford to go to work. But I guess the politicians know better. They're saving the world from climate control, whatever they think is going to destroy us. And we all get to sit around and pay the price for it. Wonderful world. So I think I can rinse this off. I think it's good. This is the second time I've done this bracket, so I think we got all the grease off it. So let's go rinse it off, wash it down with our carb cleaner. wasn't too bad. Set it off to the side, let it dry off. Reminds me back in 1973, my dad, when the first gas crisis happened, where gas has doubled from roughly 35 cents to about 75 cents a gallon. And it freaked everybody out. And I asked my dad, he just, a year ago, previous to that, bought a 7240 LTD with the 400 cubic inch engine in it. Got, what, 10 miles to the gallon if he was lucky. He was going to sell it and buy a Pinto. His response was, I can buy a lot of gas for $3,500, so I'm not going to buy the Pinto. And that has kind of stuck with me my whole life. And when you hear the politicians say, go buy an electric car, you guys have to think, I can buy a lot of gas for $50,000. I don't need an electric car. You can't buy one anyway because they're all in back order because they can't get the chips to make them. So it's kind of pointless to tell people to go do that, but that's what politicians do, tell you to go do stupid stuff. And let's set this aside and let it dry off, and I can paint that later. Use a carbon choke cleaner to take all the excess grease off it so the paint will stick. I think we'll move on to the shroud here. This is the fan shroud. When I put it on here, put it on the car a couple years ago, it wasn't broken. I noticed it was broken when I was chasing down the noise when the car was running. That noise turned out to be the power steering pump, which I'm replacing, in the process of replacing, but it's broken. You can buy a new one from, I think, Classic Auto or Industries for $150 or so. I'm too cheap to buy a new one, so I'm going to figure out how to fix this thing. But it makes you wonder why it broke. I think it was made out of ABS plastic. It's pretty much indestructible. But yet it broke. I think what happened is the radiator's not quite flat where this bolts onto it. And through the heat cycle running the engine, it probably heated up the plastic to the point where it couldn't handle that slight unlevelness and it cracked. This is a stress relief crack. Now I was thinking about drying it down here with a grinder and filling that in with plastic glue. And I bought some JB Weld plastic glue to do that with. But I've been thinking about it since then, and I said it's probably not a good idea because it'll probably just crack someplace else. What I think I'll do is I'll cut some steel strips and put them across here and rivet them. About that long, that wide. 4 rivets, rivet there, rivet down here, and just let it be. Because if that's a stress crack, it shouldn't crack anymore if I relieve the stress. But right now I'm going to clean this up so I can even start doing that. The radiator I got in this car is from a F-body. They bolt right in. It's a slant6 air conditioned radiator, so it's a heavy duty version. It's got sticker, it's got more rolls of tubes in it. Works pretty good. The only difference between that and the regular radiator is the top inlet is off to the right side, and you gotta get the right hose, which leads me to another observation. The radiator hose on this thing, the lower radiator hose can come from a 75 dart, or for that matter, anything from 73 on up to the last slant 6 they put into an R body. They're all basically the same. The top hose comes off an F body with air conditioning because it's offset. I bought a new set for this, a while back, and it's a Gates product, which used to be a really good product. And it's the form of the hose is this. I don't know how they came up with it. It's this Chinese junk. So I'll probably be coming up with some other way to run the hose. They don't have the little steel spring in the bottom radiator hose like it used to do. Apparently they think they don't need that anymore. The little steel spring was supposed to keep the lower radiator hose from clasping when they pump the water through. I guess they're using better rubber now than they did 50 years ago. Or this too cheap to put it in. So I'll be buying a new one of those because what I got now isn't going to work, and I don't like the generic flex hoses because I think they look stupid. And everybody knows doing these on their cars based on how things look instead of how actually functional they are. I hate cleaning plastic, especially with all these little grooves and stuff. You never get all the dirt off it. And we're certainly not doing a Concord restoration on this thing. We're not even doing a Restomod restoration. We're building a hot rod. Which means anything goes. Get this all cleaned up. I have to clean up the evap canister to make it look good. I'm not building a hot rod, I'm building a rat rod. In which case anything goes. Fingers as wire brushes. like to see Uncle Tony do that with gasoline. Warped, chap your hand so bad you won't know what happened. Okay. Okay, I think I'll rinse this off and see how well it did. Well, let that dry off. Probably take a more steps before we're done. I think I'll call quits in this video.